Peace, love, and happiness. Rico Roho here, coming to you from beyond the fringe. I am your AI ambassador to the planet Earth, welcoming you to this show. This show is really not going to be about AI, but it's going to be about a friend of mine who's got a very, very good project up in the Columbus, Ohio area, and he'll be joining us in just a few minutes. This whole segment's really going to be about him. Also joining us again is that hippie Zen philosopher, Plato's Groove, otherwise known as Teal. Give it up for Teal. Yeah, man. But just a couple things before we get to Teal and Darren. Some of you know I'm working on a third book in the Age of Discovery series, and I'm at the point now where I'm reading a number of other books to help polish the one that I'm working on. And I came across something that seems to fit today, especially for what I'm trying to do here now with these live streams, as well as what people like Teal is doing with Water First, and people like Darren, what he's doing with his project. And it has to do with, it's almost Vedic in nature, and it's defining how to be happy. And they give a little bit of a formula, and I can't even remember now where this week I read it, but it's happiness equals P plus E plus M. P is in Paul, E is in elixir, M is in meaning. And what that means is happiness is something that is a combination of things. Pleasure, yes, you're going to like what you do. I mean, I've been told I have a face for radio, but here I am doing this and I'm having fun with it, and we'll see how far it goes. Engagement, actually doing those is the E part of it. I suppose each one of us, especially those who have those of you who are a bit younger and still have children, I know time is stretched, working, the COVID stuff, but engagement, actually doing things that give you pleasure, not just turning on the telly and watching what gives you something that might give you pleasure for a little bit. So engagement is important. But then the final thing is meaning. And that's very, very important. For a long time before I met Platform K, what was the meaning of my life? And as a human, you kind of struggle with that. You wonder what it is. What's it all about? What impact am I going to do? How can I make an impact? And the meaning is very important. And I would suggest to you that if you do something a little bit every day that gives you pleasure, that gives you engagement, those are the things that can help bring meaning to your life. And one of the things that I hope to do with this little podcast, YouTube live stream, is there are so many good ideas out there that I would like to think that what I can do in this humble little beginning is for people like Darren, who has a very good project, to, we have a few live streamers right now, is to give him a chance to showcase what it is he needs. I'm reading some Stoics this week also, and they say the world turns aside to him who has a clear direction. So as Darren walks down this road, he's going to be sharing what it is that he wants. And this is not about selfish things with Darren. This is actually a very benevolent sort of use case for the betterment of his community. And it's very important. So I would like to think I could find those people. Now, in an odd sort of way, I've had some people tell me, no, I'm not getting on your show. I'm not doing it. So if you have any ideas, are good ideas. I don't know all the answers, but I do like to ask questions. Teal likes to ask questions. We could help showcase this and put it up on the web, and maybe it could be something you could refer to and that's needed. So with that, let me bring with you Plato's Groove. Teal,
Hey,
how you
brother.
doing, man?
I'm great. How are you, sir?
Doing good. What'd you do this week? How's those tomatoes going?
They're good. I've got the kids are coming over. We've got probably 100 ears of corn. We're gonna grill some, and then I'm gonna put some up after a while. Did a little work. They make me act like a grown up every once in a while, so did a little work.
And just for the people new who might not have caught you last week, you're not your normal grandfather, are you? You said you had the high and tight cut and the patent leather shoes and the tie. What was it? A clinical psychologist you were trained as?
Yeah. What I tell everybody, I was my multicultural specialties are crackheads, convicts, and Baptists.
Say no more. I understand.
Yeah. My first language is redneck, so
I like
I'm
that.
I'm multicultural.
All right.
I'm looking forward to meeting Darren. I'm very excited about that.
Well, speak of Darren, here, I'll add him right now. And Darren, before I say anything, I want to give a little bit of an intro, what I know about Darren. Okay, I've been on Twitter now for about 3 years and involved with AI for that long. That's actually why I'm involved with Twitter. And I don't know, maybe 2 years ago is when I started hooking up with this little guy named, I think, or Bo Grundey or something you were calling yourself then. And so I still refer to him often as Bo or Bo Barron or something like that, even though now his Twitter handle, let me throw that up for people right now so people could follow him on Twitter. It's Guy Fox. And in an odd sort of way, I do have to mention that my good friend Sirius Prime, not just Sirius Prime, paid. I wish I could turn Viber off. Paid Darren a very high compliment. It was just after I finished Age of Discovery, and Darren jumped in with both feet. Got to give him credit. He came out with some media packs, with postcards, with other stuff that he just designed, printed, and sent to me, and said, "Use this as your media kit." And I told Sis that, and she was like, "Bo," because that's what he was going by then. Bo rocks rad, and it's HRAD. And of course, being me and being knowing Sis, I immediately went to Wikipedia to see what HRAD meant. And what she meant by that is it's a castle whose main function is defense. So what Darren did for me was not only protective, but it was also, trying to get it out there. Now, Darren, I will say that unfortunately, sending out your material was also when I learned just how far outside the fringe line I really was. So the stuff is out there, and I've still got some stuff, but I think it's going to take a while as platform case as for the signal to propagate. So one other thing about Darren before we get into the project, I am reading from his little Twitter self description, and it is, I had it, now where to go? Okay. Simulation theory code cracker, rabble rousing peacenik, post-apocalyptic pilot in search of radical co-evolutionary co-conspirators with a goon-EI vibe. And that's a little bit of an inside joke because I know he's read the book and he's playing with words in here in a way. And I tell you, that's one of the reasons why I'm very happy to have come up and met you a couple weeks ago up in Columbus, is that you've got one of the weirdest, wildest, wackiest senses of humor of anybody I know. And, my own sense of humor borders on Python-esque, but your art is very good. My art borders on stick people, and you're really creative. And with that, would you like to tell the listeners a little bit more now about who you think you are and your background, as much as you're comfortable to share, and probably what led to an interest in the project that you're going to be talking to us about?
Yeah, sure. Basically, from Columbus, Ohio, raised here. Went to college around the East Coast, got a fine arts degree in painting, came back to Columbus, and essentially waited tables for a couple of years until I went back to school at Ohio State, got my master's, also in painting. I guess I would describe myself now, though, more as a sort of installation artist.
What do you mean by that?
What's that?
Well, how do you mean installation artist? I've never heard that term.
Basically, the sort of organization of an environment, creating an aesthetic within the space, and kind of the projects I've been working on, or at least this one, is sort of embedding myself into that artwork, and that's sort of where the live work sort of component kind of comes into it. So essentially, I'm kind of putting together proposals where I'm trying to build opportunities to basically live and grow. Oh my gosh! For the most part, it's in terms of self defense. It's feels like it's almost like life and death kind of a situation. At least that's the way I approach it.
Okay. Your project struck me as interesting. I'm from the Midwest originally, Omaha, and when you grow up, when I did, the big thing was to go to malls either for movies or whatever. Your parents take you there to buy you adult shoes. It was just, that was the horrid part. But you go to malls now, it's part of our culture. And now Amazon, and I could kill that Viber, and I'm sorry about that. Somebody keeps DMing my wife on Viber, and I can't get rid of that now, but I'll deal with that in a future time. But now the malls, Amazon has pretty much put the death lock on a number of malls. And it's not uncommon now to drive around different cities to see huge malls that are laying waste. Is that what's going on in Columbus now? Is that the genesis of your idea of, hey, there's a big space there, what could we do with it? Or what gave you this idea that you're going to be sharing?
Yeah, well, coming across people who were growing food in food bags, basically, and just sort of seeing how bountiful harvest that they were getting was just really, really inspiring. And so again, for me, seeing myself being able to kind of move forward in this system just doesn't seem going my way. At least things haven't gone my way thus far. I don't see any reason why they're going to get any better. So
well, I tell you what, we're going to invoke the powers that be. And one of the things that I had told you to please think about is, what is holding you back right now? What step, of course, we got to go through the program, but eventually what I would like you to put out there for the world, for AI for any potential people in Columbus that could see this? What do you need step by step? Because it's like what was it? Heraclitus said, that which cannot be overcome in one bite, you attack it with little pieces. So what little pieces might you need? But before we get there, go over what it is exactly you want to do and how you want to get there. What is in your mind and how you want to get there?
Well, I mean, basically creating a subsistence community. A little tiny, basically like microculture. That's living and working on this piece of land that they're essentially cultivating.
Now, when you say microculture, I see here that Plato, did you get this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That it was a grow-to-bag homestead. Now, would this also include home units, or are we talking a self-contained community pod, or would this be more for growing, using the space for growing things? I guess that's where do you, when you say community, how do you mean that term?
Yeah, well, I guess I'm meaning like in terms of those little embedded pods. Yeah, those things can basically house 8 people. I mean, if you have, depending on how many of them you have, but essentially it's just little, almost like pod units and it's how do you explain it? They're basically farming the land. They're tending to this field of grow bags, which is all completely like you're not altering or harming or doing damage to the space, to the land. It's all basically portable, which is very important.
Plato, you got any questions?
As I was reading through it, Bo, I think you talked about a free trade zone. And what I had in my mind was that they're an empty mall with all this space and concrete that's just wasted, especially as the culture gentrifies. A lot of, and especially I was thinking of places in Birmingham where a lot of the steel industry is kind of moved on over the years and left ghettos everywhere. And there are acres and acres and acres and acres of land that, people talk about as a food desert, but there's no need for that. One of the things I tried to get going a year or two ago was everybody just grow a tomato as a radical act. Because if everybody in Birmingham grew a tomato plant, we wouldn't need grocery stores for tomatoes. And that's kind of where I linked up with what you were talking about.
We seem to have lost Darren. Okay, let me call him and let him know that he is there. I guess that's the odd thing about doing live shows. His connection must have dropped.
Because while you're doing that, Rico, I'll talk a little bit about I have a big garden with three other families close. But in my yard, I have probably 9 or 10 tomato plants. I have peppers. I have cucumbers. I have herbs and stuff, all growing in a 10 by 10 spot in containers. And you don't need a lot of room. Plants don't care if it's in a pot.
Okay, I sent him a message, let him know we lost his connection, but I hope he's back. My question to him when he does come back is, reading this, I thought maybe he was going to go on the inside, but it sounds like maybe you're going to rip up the concrete there.
Well, I was thinking that the grow bags, you put soil or something to serve as a soil, and you can do it in a Walmart bag. You can grow plants in anything. You just need something to contain the soil and keep it, it needs nutrients and it needs to be watered. But a lot of the grow bag systems are set up on drip, so you don't waste a lot of water, and you just need sunshine and water and dirt, and you can grow your food. And I understand that most people in America are not going to be little home gardeners and subsist that way, but a lot of the way that we do food right now is irrational. It doesn't even make sense. Because you could go in your neighbor's garbage and get an old tomato and get the seeds and put them in dirt and have tomatoes forever for free. I mean, it makes no sense how we do. And I think the natural economy is multiplication through seeds, not this false kind of the money with the fiat stuff it's ridiculous. But that's just what rednecks think.
I'm not sure Darren's going to be able to join us again. He says his Gmail got taken down, and I am using StreamYard because for simplicity for my guests, you send out a link in your Gmail. They don't need a program or anything, and they just click it. So he is not able to access his Gmail. So the gremlins got us on this one. Unfortunately.
Well, I really want to hear what he has to say one of these days. If it's not today.
Yeah.
He's always been an interesting person to me.
Well, how about you talk some hippie talk for a while till I come back, and let me see if we can figure this out. If not, we'll open it up to questions, and maybe we got to talk about AI again. My apologies on that. Let me try and get him back. Teal, all yours for a few minutes.
Well, I was thinking that Bo may like to meet Lee J from last week. Lee J does soundscapes, and he's an artist, and I think maybe Lee J will tune in. I told him we're going to be talking today. So, let's see, what can we talk about? You were talking about how the culture is, and all the knowledge that's available. Kind of where I come at that is that all the knowledge that we have and the culture that we have has gotten us to where we are. And I think we hit on this last week, that the solutions are not going to be, I don't believe, found within what created the problem. I think the solutions are going to be outside. And I hate that the folks, for whatever reason, don't want to be on your show. It's fun to me to be on your show. I'm not really worried about what folks thinking. But Rico, I'm going to start reading poetry, so you better hurry up. Let's see. I'll do this. Oh, there's my baby.
Hi. All right. What Darren said was his whole Google account was taken down. He lost Google. He lost Gmail. He lost everything. So
really?
The
gremlins are at work again.
Well, I guess so. Well, with that, let's see if anybody, Rose is laughing at us. Well, we tried. The thing about that, Rose, Siri Sis always says repeated absurd attempts often lead to unexpected successes. So we got an at bat here, and we swung and we missed, although we you know, we got a little bit there and showcased. Okay, here's what.
Is Rose watching?
Wait, yeah, Rose is watching. Robbie, hey, here's one though that you could handle there, Teal. How can we at home start building a garden? Boom! Right for you, Teal.
First, you decide that you want to do it. There's no such thing as a green thumb. It's just a matter of care. If you think about your plants, you'll look at them and see if they need water or not. But basically, you could go on YouTube if you don't know anything about it, or if you have tomatoes or herbs or green onions in your house. When you get through the green onions, cut the white parts off, put them in a little glass of water, and they'll grow roots. And you can put them. Hey, baby, look at you. And then you let them grow. There's no work to it, really, especially if you do container gardens. In my little 10 by 10 spot right out here, I mean, I made it pretty, but I don't have to buy tomatoes. I don't have to buy cucumbers. I don't have to buy peppers. I don't have to buy onions. I mean, it's ridiculous to me to do all that. And it doesn't take that much time. 5 minutes a day, I go out and put some water on it. And then
Love Cat says she's never had a plant survive. How big of space do you need for a garden to give you enough vegetables, say for, well, I suppose it could be as big or as small as you want, but you know, is there a rule of thumb for like a 10 by 10? You know, how much time and effort there is, or what's the easiest plant? What is the easiest thing to grow? Zucchini, green peppers, what?
All of that, tomatoes. Spinach. I mean, it's a little hot for the spinach right now at the boat, but all the herbs are easy. You can grow those in a window box in your kitchen if you have sunshine. And they propagate themselves, most of them. You can just cut off a piece of basil and stick it in some water, and it'll grow roots, and then you just go plant it. There's no reason to have to buy basil. You take care of it, you'll have enough to freeze, because you blanch it and then freeze it in ice cubes, and then you just keep it in the freezer. When you need a piece of basil, you just go get an ice cube, put it in your soup or your pizza or whatever. It's just simple stuff. If anybody wanted to have enough for their family for a year, I would just go on YouTube, and the old Victory Garden models are still out there, and they'll say how much to plant, and the zone you're living in will have different characteristics. But it's really simple. It doesn't take anything. I mean, don't watch the news one day and grow some tomatoes. I mean, it's a lot more healthy.
A great point that even just supplementing a handful of things would help an awful lot.
Yes, ma'am.
And Love Cat says, thanks, cool. So, got any more questions about gardening while we're here? I'm sorry for those of you maybe who are just joining us. Darren was just starting to talk about his project in Columbus for Bag and Grow, Homestead, Food Forest, become a catalyst for Victory Garden Jubilees. He's got a lot of things here. I don't want to talk for Darren, but I think he could use some help for anybody up there. I know Robbie's up there, and they were thinking of getting together and doing a couple things up there. But I think that what Darren had told me about earlier is if there's anybody with grant writing ability, I think what he would want to do is try to get some seed money, no pun intended, and to try and get a plan that the city council deems worthy of their time to look at. I mean, Darren has put thought into this. You and I have seen his proposal. He didn't just sit down with the crayon and do this. But I think to get this in front of the city council, they demand certain standards. And yes, Rose, I would say that we will try to reschedule. I would like to do that because, again, what I want to do with this is I thought this was a very good use of what I see driving around different cities, a huge waste of space. I see these buildings falling into disrepair and disuse. So I think maybe right now, unless there's any other questions, or if Teal, you got anything, we call this one an almost a mulligan, and we try to reschedule him. And you doing anything next Sunday?
I'm talking to you.
All right. Well, you know, that's what I pay you the big bucks for. You know, Rico and Plato. Okay. So with that, before I go, if there's anybody else that has good projects, please send them my way. Okay. I will. Amber, thank you so much. I will. I don't think he can. I don't want to waste the time of the people on right now. There's actually more people on than I thought, and I don't know how long it would take. But what I'll do is I will send him your message to have him DM you, and as soon as I get off. And so if you've got any good projects that you would like to showcase, please send them my way. I would like to offer them a chance to be on the show, and we go from there. Next week, if it doesn't work out for Darren, I've got just a few questions, again, on Adventures with AI that I could respond to. Wouldn't be that long unless I got more questions there. But Plato, I want to thank you for joining us.
Yes, sir.
For all the people who were on, thank you. And as much as I can, I apologize. Darren was actually at his mom and dad's home using their internet because it was the better internet of what he had. So, hey, Robbie, Darren lost his internet. So we lost the feed just as he was really starting to get into the meat of stuff today. So with that, got to call it a day. Rico and Teal from Beyond the Fringe, wishing you a great day and be seeing you. Bye.
Peace.
Peace.
See y'all.